The vice chair of Taiwan's opposition Nationalist Party is on a visit to China. There are a host of meetings scheduled with officials and the business community. The meeting comes at a time when China is renewing its attack on Taiwan. Beijing sees the island as a part of China, but Taipei disagrees. It sees itself as an autonomous region which is on its way to attaining independence. This has prompted a huge dispute. The ruling Democratic Progressive Party is trying to stand against China's aggression. In the last few years, it has even sought support from the West. One of the biggest shows of alliance was when the then U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi visited Taiwan last year. This ideology does not sit well with the opposition, that is known for its pro-Beijing stance. But after reaching China, the narrative has got harsher. It has accused the government of being selfish and pushing Taiwan into a dangerous phase. The party leaders even vowed to never let Taiwan become an independent country.
民进党当局出于政治私利，勾连外部势力，谋独挑衅，损害台湾同胞的利益福祉，危害台湾同胞的身家性命，一步一步把台湾推向危险的境地，是对台湾社会主流民意的胁迫，是对台湾最大利益的威胁。台湾呢，从来就不是一个国家，也永远不可能成为一个国家。搞台独分裂呢，违背历史发展潮流，违逆全体的中华儿女意志，严重损害两岸同胞利益。那么，无论使用什么样的包装说辞，都是不可能得逞的。
Now, U.S. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is also mulling visiting Taiwan, something that the opposition has warned against, and urged Washington to abide by the One China principle. Last meeting by Pelosi was met with intense air drills by China, many of whom had even entered Taiwan's airspace. So experts are concerned what the new visit might provoke. For more on this story, we're now joined by Paul Huang, a research fellow with Taiwanese Public Opinion Foundation in Taipei. Thanks so much for speaking to WION. How do you see the senior Taiwan opposition leaders visiting China at a time when tensions between the two sides are actually soaring?
Well, the opposition Kuomintang, the KMT party, they stress that they are not going to do political negotiation with China or Chinese officials during this trip, since they said that they're not in power, and they said that their primary goal for this trip is to facilitate things like commerce and cultural exchanges. Things that even the DPP government, they have expressed desire that they want to increase or resume. Well, I think no matter what it is that they're going to talk about, it's not going to change the prevailing public opinion in Taiwan, which is that the Taiwan public has shown very little willingness to concede to China in political terms. And seeing that Chinese demands, long-term demands such as one country, two systems, there's almost no support for that within Taiwan. So the KMT knew that, and they're not going to push, no matter what it is that they discuss, they're not going to have that as their agenda in next year's election. Otherwise, they will lose most, if not all, the votes.
All right. It is all about electoral politics at the end of the day. But, you know, it's important to remember Beijing isn't holding any dialogue with the government of Taiwan. Instead, it's wooing the opposition. How exactly do you view this Chinese policy? And if you could tell us a little bit about how the KMT has traditionally had close ties with Beijing.
Well, yes, it is Beijing's carrot and stick strategy that they show more friendly posture to the KMT. And they for years, they refuse to talk to the DPP government because they claim, or at least they believe that the DPP is pro-Taiwan independent. Even so, the DPP government for the last 7 years have made no such attempt to declare de jure independence. But from the polls, we know the Taiwan public, they oppose any such political concessions. So the DPP for many years, they they have made this their primary selling point, that they are against China, and they have performed very successfully electorally, at least until the last local elections. And in terms of the KMT, I think the KMT usually upholds a more China-friendly rhetoric and certain policies, but in the grand scheme of things, they are really no different from the DPP in the sense that they're not interested in serious political negotiation or concession to China. So the Chinese, they're not going. Beijing's objective is to subjugate Taiwan by force if necessary, and that is deeply unpopular with Taiwan's public opinions. And neither the KMT nor DPP will accept that. And the Chinese ballistic missile deployment against Taiwan increased substantially during the previous KMT president's term, Ma Ying-jeou's term. And even when during the time when most people saw cross-strait relations were relatively stable. So the Beijing, they say one thing, but in fact their military deployment, their force posture are another thing. I think these are mostly just posture and gesture. What we have to look at is the actual security and military threat that they are deploying against Taiwan.
All right, interesting that. Is this mere posturing or is there more to it? We'll have to wait and see how this visit plays out. Paul Huang, thanks very much for speaking to WION.